In 2008, police surrounded a car after a bizarre kidnapping. Inside was a young girl and the man who had taken her. He told officers his name, but the name would unravel into one of the strangest identity frauds investigators had ever seen. So who was he really, and why did he kidnap his own daughter? I'm Gabbi Dee.
I'm Ty.
And this is Beyond the Bonesaw. Good to have you back.
Yeah, this sounds like it's gonna be a crazy one.
Oh my gosh. I've been holding it in all week, just not telling him any little secrets because I'm that person that can't hold surprises in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very twisty.
It's
Talk about a twisty
you,
tale.
sure.
Yeah. I haven't said a single word just so I didn't spill any beans. There's a lot of twists, a lot of turns, even more than the Attic Boy case.
Yeah.
So we're going to start it off today by talking about a woman named Sandra Boss. She's an important character in the story, so I just want to go over her life a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So she grew up in a beautiful family. They were super close. They'd go on vacations together. They were wealthy, more blue blood kind of family, you know what I mean? A lot of money running in and out of that family.
Fuck is blue blood?
It means you're rich.
I never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's blue blood. She grew up in a beautiful family. They really laid the foundation for her success. She turned into such a successful, brilliant woman, honestly. She had a profound love for reading. Shout out to my ACOTAR girlies, but she wasn't reading about fairies and masked men. She was reading about the financial state of the world.
Oh, she's missing out.
Yeah, big time. Before we get back into the case, I want to take a moment to shout out the first ever sponsor of the show, Gabbi. If you listen to us, you probably know most of my research happens late at night. We're talking deep dives at midnight, open tabs everywhere, timelines, court documents, police reports, the kind of rabbit hole where suddenly I blink and it's 3 a.m. That's where Gabbi comes in. Their jitterless energy blends mean no crash, no shaky hands, and no foggy brain. Just clean focus that actually lasts. It helps me stay locked in while researching cases or recording long sessions without burning out halfway through. And honestly, I love that I don't feel gross afterwards. No guilt, no wired feeling, just steady energy when I need it most. If you want to support the show and stay sharp during your own late night deep dives, head over to dubby.gg. That's DUBBY.GG and use code BONESAW at checkout. That's BONESAW for 10% off your entire order. Huge thanks to Gabbi for supporting the pod, and a huge thanks to you guys for listening. Now, let's get back to it. It was such a diverse range of books, it would contribute to her intellectual growth in every way, shape, and form. She loved learning as much as she loved reading. She was just very smart. So like I said, Sandra's family, they had a strong, loving connection, and the company Worth Collector states that their bond became a corner store of her character. Her family would say that she was known for her sincerity and dedication from an early age, which says a lot. They also would say she had a focused and disciplined mindset. They claimed the younger years her interest in financial services really blossomed. She was influenced by a combination of intellectual curiosity and a desire to understand the economic system, which I wasn't trying to do that at the age of 8 or 9.
Smart girl.
Very smart. She's brilliant. And there is a humongous reason why I'm pinpointing how smart she is, and just keep that in the back of your mind.
So this is going to play like a big
Yeah, it's going to play a humongous role later on. Her family and herself, they also shared a zest for life. They were always going on trips together. They loved quality family time and spending any free time they had together, which I love.
Yeah.
So Sandra grew up and she turned out exactly how you'd imagine. In 1989, Sandra graduated from Stanford University with her BA. In 1994, the year I was born, shout out to us millennials, Sandra graduated from Harvard with her MBA. She went to Stanford and Harvard. And I can barely say Stanford, apparently. So
yeah, that's pretty big accomplishment.
That's, yeah, two of the biggest schools in the United States. And for those who aren't familiar with these schools, in 2025, there was an article released of the top universities in the entire world. Stanford was number 6 and Harvard was number 3 in the world. So when she was attending Harvard College, her sister introduced her to a man named James Frederick Mills Clark Rockefeller, descendant of the famous Rockefeller family. Have you ever heard of that family?
Yeah.
So what do you know about him?
Aren't the Rockefellers like the big oil guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yep, they're known for being one of the richest families in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Their wealth is due to their involvement in the petroleum industry, primarily through the founding of Standard Oil in the late 19th century. Their fortune was actually also built on strategic investments, particularly in oil refining, which led to one of the largest fortunes in American history. Their net worth in 2025 was $360 billion.
God damn.
So Clark owned billions in artwork. This is the man that Sandra met. She met Clark. He was a Rockefeller. He owned billions in artwork. That was his thing. He loved collecting art. He had a love for art, which I feel like is very common in the upper class community.
With rich people. Yeah.
Exactly. He was always dressed nice and lavished her with expensive gifts and clothing. He wore custom-made suits, collected expensive art. So, of course, he had an upscale New York apartment. How could he not? Probably passed down. Who knows? Mm-hmm. To say the least, Sandra was charmed, and the two married shortly after in 1995. So they knew each other around a year and then got married.
Very smart girl marries rich Rockefeller.
Mm-hmm. And, well, you got to remember, she's wealthy, too. I don't know what her parents did, but she grew up in a wealthy, well-to-do family. So yeah, she's got money, too.
She went to Harvard.
I feel like the rich usually marry the rich, you know?
Yeah.
Sandra and Clark get married. They spend the next 11 years together because they do get divorced.
What? They get divorced?
Yeah, they eventually get divorced, so they spend the next 11 years together, and we're just going to go over some time frames and what happens when they're married. So Sandra and Clark spent the next 11 years together. They lived a stable life. Clark was just rich, and Sandra worked for a company called McKinsey & Co., which is a consulting firm.
Oh, he didn't do much. He was just rich.
Nothing. He's a Rockefeller.
Wait, so he didn't help run like the oil industry that they built or anything? Like he didn't play as
You'll see. So
he was just rich.
He was literally. So Clark was just rich and Sandra worked, which also like I mean good for her being with a rich man and still working, you know? I'd be but you'll see. There's a reason they end in divorce. So she managed complex...
I hope it's not because she worked and he was just rich.
No. Definitely not. So Clark, yes, the man was just rich and sat around his house with his oil paintings. And Sandra worked for the company McKinsey & Co. It was a consulting firm, and she was a senior partner there. She managed projects, client relationships, and driving business growth. 6 years into their marriage in 2001, the two had a daughter, Ray Starro Mills Rockefeller, lovingly referred to as Snooks, which I think is just adorable. Their daughter's birth was a beautiful time, even if Clark was 18 hours late.
He was late for the birth?
Yeah. He was 18 hours late for her birth.
Oh my God.
And he did name their daughter without the consent of Sandra.
So named the daughter and then was 18 hours late?
No. 18 hours late and then named the daughter. Like the audacity. And yeah, so he named their daughter without consulting her. Needless to say, their marriage began to crack. Clark was a stay-at-home dad, and at this point, Sandra was making a little over $1 million a year, and this was money she'd have no control over or ever see. She had no access to their bank accounts or their bank info, and even the online passwords to log into their accounts, she didn't have access to.
That's odd. I'd say it's odd just being how rich they are. And
yeah.
She has no access to her own money.
So the two actually, they began to have money issues, and Sandra's thought was, you have a ton of art, galleries worth of it, sell some of it to help us out. But he refused to sell any of his $1 billion art collection.
Oh, you can't sell the art.
Yeah, no, can't sell the art. Refused to. And his stories became inconsistent. A lot of them did not add up. It may have taken over a decade, but eventually Sandra caught on. She learned that Clark controlled all of their funds to cover the fact he made none, and he didn't hesitate to spend her money to keep up his rich appearance. He had an excuse for everything.
Wait, what? He's a Rockefeller.
He said he couldn't drive, not because he didn't have a license, but because of bad sight. So what's the point in having a license in general, right? When flights made it mandatory to show some form of ID or your social security card to fly, he stopped flying altogether. And he had an odd hatred for California and Connecticut, which will be important later on.
What the fuck did he do?
He also would just work for free, which, needless to say, caused even more issues at home if you need money and you're just working for free.
Like, work where for free?
Like helping people or just little jobs around. He would help, and Sandra saw it as a way to be like, hey, you know, we need a little money.
This just sounds odd because he's a Rockefeller, right? All the questions are popping up in my head. It's like he's the black sheep of the family or something.
There's definitely something going on that's bigger than anyone would imagine. So he would claim asking people to pay him for his work was beneath the dignity of a Rockefeller. And she wouldn't figure out until later on, but when they married, he had them do it in a Quaker-type ceremony, which are known for their quiet, legally valid weddings that relies heavily on sworn statements and trust. it is way more secretive. Like, there's no officiant, so there's no like priest, rabbi, or minister to marry you. The couple marries each other in front of witnesses. The marriage certificate is also signed afterwards, so the couple and witnesses, they just sign a certificate at this marriage, and it's later filed with the state.
Okay.
Clark just seems very private and secretive about stuff. He just seems a little sus.
Right.
So every time tax season rolled around, you know, you put you're single, you're married, divorced, whatever, right? Sandra would file her tax return, and Clark would demand that she filed as a single person, not married. Later in their marriage, her job required that a certified public accountant do her taxes, and Clark made sure he found the accountant for her. After the divorce, Sandra would learn that he had told their accountant, the one that he found for her, he was her brother, and that the accountant would continue filing single returns for her. Like, he's like, oh, I'm her brother, she's single, she's not married.
Yeah, because something fishy's going on.
Definitely. So eventually they lived together in Cornish, New Hampshire, where he used his Rockefeller family ties to bolster his reputation, just flying it out. You know how they go. Just, I'm a Rockefeller, building the reputation. He made sure to tell all his friends and neighbors that he had a wealthy Yale... He made sure to tell all his new friends and neighbors that he was a wealthy Yale graduate who owned a business in Canada and had an extensive art collection. Using his Rockefeller name, he had gained membership to Boston's Gentlemen's Club. And I don't know what screams I'm rich more than that.
Then going to a gentleman's club.
Yeah, he spent a great deal of time there. And a gentleman's club was just that. It was a club for rich elite men of the world. This one was a private social club that formed in 1886. Talk about old money.
Oh, yeah.
He was put on as one of the club's directors and would eventually resign from that role in April 2008. You can tell he was heavily involved in the club. Eventually, Boss grew suspicious of her husband. Maybe it was his lack of money, or the fact he didn't travel, have a license, or a social security card. But she eventually hired a PI to follow him and dig deeper to see who he really was.
Once you do that, you know it's like it's
something's going on.
Gotta hire a private investigator.
Yes. So eventually the PI came to her and was like, "Yeah, so he's not a Rockefeller." Yeah. That was the cup slamming for dramatics.
I knew this shit sounded fishy. I'm like, don't work. Oh, he's just rich. And she worked. What kind of shit? Like, he don't work for the family? He's not doing anything?
Yeah.
No.
I remember we're going to go over a couple different things that he was really odd about. I think I didn't put a couple things in there I learned, but like one thing was he wouldn't have any family pictures in the house, and she never met his relatives.
That's what I was going to say. Like,
in 11 years.
In 11 years, she didn't meet any other Rockefellers or...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a red flag.
So...
You think she'd meet them before they got married. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure he came up with some lie. He's a professional liar. Like,
hey, he lied to her for like 11 years. He must have been pretty damn good.
The PI determined that her husband definitely was not who he said he was. Couldn't figure it out. All he could say for sure is he definitely was not a Rockefeller, like I said.
I'm sure he covered his tracks really well for the investigator not to find out like who
anything.
He really is.
It's a lot.
How do you lie about that, though? How do you fall for that?
That's why I wanted to point out how smart she is, because she gets a lot of shit, for being with him. We'll get into it, but
she gets a lot of shit.
Well, I'm jumping ahead, you know. So not only did he not have a social security card or driver's license, but he didn't even have a credit card in his own name. They were all in his wife Sandra's. The credit cards, the checks, everything. There was not a single thing in his name.
She didn't figure this shit out year one.
Well, maybe he was like, hey, I want to control the finances. And she's like, okay, sure. Like, you're a rock. What do I have to worry about you for? You have more money than I do. Maybe he just likes being head honcho. He definitely seems like he wanted to be the dominant figure in the relationship. Yeah. And she fell for it. And honestly, with how much money she made.
That's the thing. You know what I mean?
She loved him. Yeah.
So you're not like trying to look for something. You believe.
Exactly.
For their word.
Got those love glasses on.
And that's insane.
It's crazy. So they couldn't figure out his real name, but she knew that was enough to get those papers, and I'm talking divorce papers. And she served him immediately with them, because she doesn't even know who the hell she's married to. Yeah, and good for her, because you know there's some people that would be like, oh, well.
In a sense, is that even still legally binding? What has that ever, like, is there laws for that shit? Like, you get married to somebody that is not the person that you married.
I think it depends what route you took, and we're going to talk about their divorce here a little bit, and I think she just wanted to get the hell away. She wanted her and her daughter away from him. So he agreed he'd surrender custody of their daughter for $800,000, 2 cars, her engagement ring, a dress he bought her, and 3 supervised visits a year with the daughter.
That's all he wanted?
That's it. And he said you can have full custody of her and everything else.
And all the shit that she wanted.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, everything was hers anyway. Give
And
me all my fucking shit.
I mean, she just wanted her kid. So she accepted, she paid him, gave him everything. And also, like,
oh, wait,
fuck you, though.
Wanted $800,000?
Yes.
Whoa. Oh, I got it backwards.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you said, like, she was asking for all that. And I'm like, it's her shit.
No. She just said, I want custody of the kid. I want custody of the daughter because I don't even know who the fuck you are. You know, I don't want my kid with you.
He's demanding that he gets this, and that.
He basically said, okay, pay for your daughter. Give me $800K, 2 vehicles. Give me your engagement ring. Give me your dress that I bought you.
Wait, so after already stealing her shit through his marriage,
he's
demanding that she give him more shit. Essentially, give me more of your fucking money.
Literally, yeah. You can pay me. Which, if they have money issues
audacity.
too, oh my gosh,
the audacity, and it's flipped around too because he's the guy. So I wouldn't even expect him to really get much anyway.
No, I think she just wanted the kid and wanted to leave. And I mean, I don't know. Only God knows. I've never been in that situation. Only God knows what was going through her mind. Because some people, it's like, yeah, let's go to court. Who the fuck are you? Like, what are we doing? And I think for her, she's like, I want to cut ties. She takes her daughter and dips. Mm-hmm. She accepts, she pays him, and immediately she takes the kid and she actually flees to London and leaves.
What, with no plan of giving him supervised visits? Or
he still gets them, but it's only 3 times a year, so it's like, why do I need to live in the U.S.? I'll just fly there or whatever.
3 times.
So she waited till she was in London and she changed the kid's name, because obviously the daughter's last name is Rockefeller. So she changed her name. Yeah.
Shit. I mean,
and not only that,
I went to the Rockefellers like, yo.
Oh, it's so funny because by the end of this whole thing, I think I'm going to jump ahead, but whatever. At the end of this whole 22-page research paper I'm reading off to you, it says the Rockefellers denied him ever knowing him, who he is. Like, they said no. So she gets to London, changes the name. I would change the whole name because remember he picked out the daughter's name without consent from her. Mm-hmm. So I highly doubt it's a name they agreed upon. You know what I mean?
Maybe depending on how old the kid is, it's like, yeah, change the last name, but your first name is kind of like, we've been calling you this.
Get that too, yeah, especially the first name, like you said. She waited, changed the name, and then that's when she said, you're lying of your relationship to the Rockefeller family. Rockefeller. I feel like I'm saying that name 5 different ways. So time goes on. Clark is living his life, and we're going to fast forward 2 years later to 2008.
Yeah, we don't need to know about whatever the fuck he did.
And honestly, there's no record of what he was doing.
Of course.
There's no information. He's just out doing shit. So he's enjoying one of those 3 court-approved visits a year with his daughter in Boston, Massachusetts. It's Clark, his daughter, and they're accompanied by a social worker. That way Sandra doesn't have to be there. Someone's watching after the kids still. So the 3 of them were in Boston's Back Bay neighborhood on a walk to the Boston Common, which is actually the oldest park of the United States, fun fact, because I was like, what's the Boston Common? Mm-hmm. It's over 50 acres of land, and it was established in 1634. Originally, it was a communal pasture for cattle, public gatherings, military practice, and during colonial times, it was an execution site.
Oh, wow.
Little morbid fun fact for you. Nowadays, it's just an urban park with trees, fountains, and recreational spaces. So they're walking on the sidewalk enjoying this visit when an SUV pulls up near them. Clark pushes aside the social worker, grabs his daughter, throws her in the SUV, jumps into the vehicle, and starts screaming, "Go, go, go," before the vehicle speeds away.
Here we go.
So now the social worker, bless her heart, held onto the vehicle as she was dragged a short distance before falling free.
Oh, yeah, that didn't.
Besides a few bumps and bruises, though, she was completely okay, thank God. A warrant obviously was issued later that night, charging him with custodial kidnapping, assault and battery on the social worker.
Charging who? No name?
No name, yeah. And assault with a deadly weapon due to the involvement of the SUV. It was considered assault with a deadly weapon as well. When his picture was shown on the news asking for leads, calls poured in. Oh yeah, I know him. That's that nudist guy.
Huh?
Another call. Oh yeah, he had a party, and when we found this dug up area in his backyard, he gave the oddest excuse. Yeah, I let him borrow my chainsaw once. All these calls gave a total of 4 different identities to go along with Clark and who he claimed to be. So Clark, he kidnapped Snooks, who is probably terrified.
No, she was still young, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it was scary, but like she saw her dad there too, so probably was like very confusing.
Probably like, what the hell? Well, also you gotta think, she only sees him 3 times a year.
Oh, that's right.
And I mean, hey, he could call her on the phone. So he kidnaps her and they go to Baltimore, Maryland. Mind you, they started in Boston, Massachusetts. So on August 2nd, 2008, this is 6 days after the kidnapping and everything, Clark was found in Baltimore, Maryland, where he'd recently purchased an apartment for about $450,000 under the name Charles Chip Smith. The FBI also found out, with the help of the local marina owner, that Clark kept his catamaran, which is also known as a cat, docked in his marina. The FBI came up with a plan for someone to call Clark, telling him his boat was taking on water and to come fast because it was sinking, and he sprinted right out that front door. The FBI agents were waiting for him, and he was arrested on the kidnapping and assault charges. His daughter was found unharmed inside the apartment.
Good.
So they arrested this mystery man, news gets out about it, and the world goes even crazier. Who is this man? What's his real name? It's like the real life version of Guess Who at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And one day that tip line ran, and it was a friend. He wanted to come forward with something that would become crucial evidence in figuring out who the hell this man is. This caller claimed he saw the news and that Rockefeller had had a glass of wine at his house the night before his arrest. He stated the glass was there and that it had not been washed or touched. They got the prints from the glass and ran with them as soon as possible.
Lucky break.
Literally.
He better be in the system. If he's not, it would just make this even more difficult.
Yeah, definitely. So the fingerprints were compared in the official systems, and they did eventually get a match. The print from the wine glass matched a 1985 California arrest for a man under another name, living an entirely different life. After some time, they reconstructed his movements through the years, and they connected multiple aliases to this Clark man.
Wow.
Eventually, they traced him back to where it all began, his birthplace, Germany.
Wow.
And his real name was Christian Karl Gerhartsreiter. And one thing I noticed about all of his aliases, at least the ones I found, they all started with C's. And his real name is Christian, and he used Chris and Clark a lot. So let's learn a little bit about this mystery man and his past. He was born to Simon, his father, who was a plumber, and his wife, Irmgard, who was a seamstress. Just cute little jobs, living in Bavaria, West Germany. From all reports, they were an all-around regular working-class family. His real background was ordinary and middle class, not elite or wealthy. No reports of abuse, no gossip about the family. Honestly, anything anyone ever said was nice. Christian himself claimed to have been born February 29th, 1960, but his parents gave his birth date as February 21st, 1961. I don't know why he lied about his birthday. It's literally a year and 8-day difference.
He must be a pathological.
Him and his parents gave different birthdays. He did have a brother, Alexander. As a teen, he reportedly showed early signs of embellishing things a little. Yeah. In 1978, he met an American couple who were vacationing in Germany, and for whatever reason, Christian saw this. Remember, Christian is Clark. Clark's Christian. Christian's the real name.
Christian
so we're going to
Clark.
call him by Christian.
Why does it remind me of Jimmy Dean? Did he lie about his name?
Oh, Jimmy Steve.
Jimmy Steve. And she's like, okay, Jimmy Steve. It was like a thing for a while.
Oh, yeah, I still call him Jimmy Steve.
So, yeah, Christian Karl.
Christian Clark saw this as his ticket out of Germany. He would later use their names to obtain permission to enter the United States falsely, declaring that the family had invited him to stay with them in California. After entering the country, and so he came in from Germany to New York City, he went to Connecticut, found the family, and told them that he was from a wealthy family in West Germany and was here in the States as an exchange student.
You can just lie, bro.
Yeah.
You can just lie.
And lead a pretty good life with doing so, because holy cow, it doesn't...
He must have said that shit with so much confidence. This man looked you in your fucking eyes.
Yeah.
It said, I am this. You're like, yes, you are.
Oh, man. We're going to get to the point where he's faking accents and claiming he's from English royalty. Like, he's crazy. So the family allowed Christian to live with them. They said, oh, you're here? You're an exchange? Come on, man. Come in the house. Come stay with us. And in 1979, he got accepted as a foreign exchange student and began Berlin High School.
Bro.
He even got the school to take him.
This motherfucker cracked the code.
He did.
He cracked
multiple of them. But he would eventually wear out his welcome and was told to leave the household, so he headed to Wisconsin. By the time he reached Milwaukee, he was starting to call himself Christopher Kenneth Gerhardt. He enrolled in a class at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Because if a con man needs one thing, it's intelligence, and sadly, this man was very smart. Very, very smart. Very manipulative.
Probably very charismatic.
Yes.
Charisma
that's
can get you things.
It'll get you. You'll go a long way with it. And a lot of people, that's what they say about him.
What he did with his wife too is very charismatic, and it hid the lies that he had.
She'll say so. A lot of people compare this man to Ted Bundy. Women loved him. I think he got married in jail and pretty much, or in prison. They loved him, but there's a recording. Eventually, I have that hanging on my to-do wall. I have like a wall in the room of all the cases that I've already written some stuff about, and Ted Bundy's on there. I just don't want to cover high-profile cases so soon. But there is a clip, and we're going to going to go over it when I do that case. And it shows him charismatic in court. And a officer goes to grab him and lead him out the courtroom, right? Because, like, you're a fucking murderer. Mm-hmm. And he thinks because he's acting as his own lawyer, he fired his lawyers and did his own thing. There's this part where he yanks his arm away and looks at the cop, and they say that's him, like, breaking his switch. And women said it about him, and they said it about this guy too, that he'd be fine, charismatic, but you could just see it. Like, it just, something in him snapped. So we're in Wisconsin, he's enrolled in classes in college. And one day he decided, you know, I want to be a legit U.S. citizen. I really want to do this the right way. So
Is that the lie you told yourself?
So he began to think of ways to trick an American woman into marrying him for a green card. And it didn't take long to find one.
It didn't.
He met 22-year-old Amy Dunk. He told her if he had to go back to Germany, he would be forced to go into the military and be sent to fight in the Cold War on the Russian front lines. And it worked. He would marry Amy in 1981.
Oh my God, does he have more kids?
The day after the wedding, Christian left his wife and headed for Las Vegas. They never saw each other again. Amy would file for divorce 11 years later in 1992.
Did he, like, scam her out of things? Like, did he try and get something from that marriage?
He got his green card, so the next day he dipped. He got exactly what he wanted. He married her for one reason. And the day after the wedding, he left his wife in Milwaukee and headed to Los Angeles, California.
Bro, that's gotta hurt.
I know it does. I know it. I feel so bad for that girl. This is why you don't marry. Let me not. All right, so eventually he made it to California, and he wanted to pursue a career in acting.
He'd be damn good at it. I'm surprised the story doesn't stop here.
Of course, he'd need a new name to do that. So he became Christopher Chichester from Britain and had an accent to match. According to the family who he lived with when he first came to the United States, the one that he tricked, Chichester, or Chichester, was the last name of a teacher he was infatuated with while he attended high school with them. So he gets to Cali, makes himself at home in this upper-class neighborhood, waving a tale of royal English ancestry and saying he was a TV producer. So he was trying to be an actor, but said he's a TV producer, but he's this royal English guy. Which, who in royal England is producing TV? Who in the royal line is one of the princes out here producing television shows? Like, I get it, people have a love for stuff, but you wouldn't, I don't know, something about me would be like, why? Shouldn't you be, like, traveling, going, doing some good?
Bro, like I said, he said it with so much conviction and confidence. You had no choice but to believe the words that came out of his mouth. Also,
you got to think, this is a man who's in America. He's from Germany, so I'm sure he's got an accent. He's got, oh, hit my mic, sorry. So he's got his normal German-speaking voice, right? He pulls an American accent. Now he's doing a British accent.
I mean, that's talent.
That's just talent. He could have been an actor. He could have done so many things. And he was so smart and charismatic. He could have done so much. So
but he used it for evil.
Yep. And that's why he's on Beyond the Bonesaw. So he would take women on dates and hold up this wealthy English facade. He even went as far as to telling a group of people that he was going to bring his mansion over brick by brick just so the United States could see what real wealth looked like. The entire time this upper-class neighborhood he lived in, it was upper-class, and the wealthy did live there. But he lived in the back house of a woman named Ruth Sohus, who goes by Dee Dee, which is adorable, just old Dee Dee at her house. And he lived in her guest house, and there's nothing wrong with living in someone's guest house, but not owning a home of your own as English royalty is odd. Especially when you're bringing your mansion over brick by brick. Why are you living in someone's guest house?
You think you get, like, a nice apartment.
Yeah. Something. So Dee Dee's son and daughter-in-law, John and Linda, they did live on the property as well. They lived in the main house with Dee Dee. They didn't pay rent. They were actually there. They just got married, newlyweds. They were there to save money because she wasn't charging for rent, so they could get their own house, you know, move on up in the world, have some babies, all that good stuff. The person who's actually paying is, of course, going to get the guest house out back. Now we're going to talk a little bit about John and Linda. John and Linda met at her job in a local bookstore. Eventually, the small conversations turned into the two bonding over fantasy and sci-fi books while she worked. They were big nerds, and I just love that. From the outside, they were such opposites. Some might say they were an odd couple. Linda, she was stocky with a muscular build, red hair, blue eyes. She weighed about 200 pounds and stood at 6 foot tall, 6 foot 1 inch. She's 6'1". Now, John was on the smaller side. He was 120 pounds, 5'6", brown hair, brown eyes, but that's about where their differences ended. Their dream dates were going to sci-fi conventions together or rolling dice during a game of Dungeons and Dragons with their friends. John was described as a delicate, quirky soul, a mama's boy, and his sister claimed he was the original nerd who knew everything. Where John was reserved and quiet, Linda was outgoing and social. The couple's friends said they were inseparable and fit together perfectly, a true match made in heaven. In 1983, they got married on Halloween, which I just am obsessed with, of course. John was a computer programmer at a jet propulsion laboratory, And I looked up what that was because I was like, oh, that sounds fancy.
Jet engines and shit.
Yeah. So a Jet Propulsion Laboratory, it's the leading center for robotic space exploration. It's managed by NASA and Caltech, known for its groundbreaking missions to explore the solar system and beyond. Linda stayed a clerk at the bookstore, which was called Dangerous Visions.
That's an odd name.
That's what I thought too. I was like, Dangerous Visions. It reminds me like, okay, maybe it's like dark romance or something. I don't know.
Like it should be like a Halloween like gift store or something.
Maybe it's
like
more
a Halloween
spookier.
Costume store or something.
While she was working there, she was also chasing her dream of being an artist. She actually just hosted her own gallery show and sold a piece for $700.
Nice.
I feel like both of them had big dreams and a big future coming their way.
And dangerous visions.
Dangerous visions. Now, for Dee Dee, the property owner, she was John's adoptive mother, and if you've seen them together, you'd never know he was adopted. They had so much love between the two. You could find Dee Dee walking around her home with a smoke in one hand and champagne in another.
Classy.
Very. Just walking around her nice, beautiful house, her mansion, with champagne and a smoke. Dee Dee, I don't know. She screams class, like pearl necklace grandma. You know, she was a socialite in the 40s and 50s, so she just has that energy. When John and his new wife, Linda, came to her needing somewhere to stay, she was happy to oblige. They moved in, like I said, mostly due to finances. It was only temporary. They just wanted to save up. And Dee Dee wasn't charging rent, so it was the perfect chance to save money. On February 8th, 1985, Linda told her best friend, Sue Kaufman, they got a government job they weren't allowed to talk about that required a 2-week trip to New York. But then 2 weeks turned into 3, and then 4, and then 8 weeks went by with no word from them, and their friends grew worried. Linda, she had 6 cats, which, we had 2 cats at one time, and that was a lot, so bless her heart. And they didn't have kids, so they were her fur babies. She loved her cats. So when they went on their trip to New York, she boarded her 6 cats before she left, and her and John embarked on this new journey together.
Wait, hold on. Who's John? Is that the Chris guy?
No. So you have Dee Dee, the mom that owns the house, and then you have John, her son, and then he's married to Linda. So John and Linda are going on this 2-week top secret government job to New York.
Okay.
And then the guy we're talking about, Christian, he lives in the guest house. He's not coming up yet. We're just talking about John and Linda because they're gonna.
Gotcha. That's what I thought.
2 months go by after she boarded her cats, and the boarding house called her sister because they can't get a hold of Linda and ask where Linda is since no one ever picked up the cats. They were supposed to be there 2 weeks. Now they've been there 2 months. Catherine, Linda's younger sister, at this point became worried, and she called Dee Dee knowing her sister would never just abandon her pets, which I'm just putting this on the record. If that ever happens to me, I wouldn't abandon my babies either. Come looking for me because something happened.
That's definitely a big red flag. Like, you got
For
6
sure.
cats. You're not just going to leave them stranded.
Yeah, and just
Nothing.
disappear. Dee Dee said she knew where they went, but she couldn't say. In fact, all Dee Dee would say was that they were on a secret mission she wasn't allowed to discuss. Now, most people knew Dee Dee loved her some morning liquor, so Catherine just thought Dee Dee was on another bender, just making no sense, slurring her words and speaking about top secret government missions. Which, understandable. She stuck to her story. They were on a secret mission for the government, and she wasn't allowed to say a word. So Linda's sister, Catherine, filed a missing persons report for her sister. When police first got involved, Dee Dee did stand out to the cops. Her story was a little far-fetched. All Dee Dee said was don't worry for their safety and that they'd be back. She even claimed she had an unnamed government source that was the middleman for her to talk to John and Linda, but she couldn't give his name. During the investigation, Officer George Yankovich finished chatting with Dee Dee, and he walked up to the guest house on Dee Dee's property to speak with the man who lived there, which at this point we all know is Christian, because we're still going over his life before he met his wife. I'm sure he was very surprised after he knocked when a fully naked man answered the door. The officer asked if he could go put some clothes on, but the man refused, claiming he was a nudist. So he gave his... Yeah, now he's a British royal nudist. He gave his fake name to the officer and told the same story that Dee Dee did, claiming that the two took off on some top secret government mission. Officer Yankovich, he leaves, he goes back to the station, and he ends up running his name. It's there he sees the name he was given didn't match the ID the naked guy gave him. And another thing stood out. Another alias was attached to that ID in the database, so it's a fake ID. Why did he have several IDs on file as well? And why was everyone giving some crazy government mission story? Another month goes by, and Linda's mother gets a very odd postcard from her daughter. It says, I think we need a geography lesson, but not too bad. Linda and John.
What?
Yeah. She gets a postcard. It says, I think we need a geography lesson, but not too bad, Linda and John. And remember, they're supposed to be in New York. This message, obviously, it caused a little concern, but that didn't worry her the most. According to the postcard, it came from Paris, France. So they said they were supposed to be in New York, but the postcard's from France. And it's saying, I think we need a geography lesson, but not too bad. Linda and John.
It's weird.
Yeah, just odd. She thought, how would they even leave America? Linda doesn't have a passport. They don't have money for traveling. It just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Then Linda's best friend, the one that the boarding house called Sue, she got a postcard. It said, Dear Sue, I kind of miss New York. Oops. But this can be lived with. John and Linda. Sue told investigators that this didn't sound like Linda at all, and Linda's mom fully agreed. They didn't believe these cards were from Linda and John. Almost 3 months later, April 28th, 1985, Dee Dee had a change of heart, and she filed a missing persons report for her son's well-being. At this point, she was being obviously way more cooperative with police, even revealing her trusted FBI source as the nudist that stayed in her guest house. But the cops wondered, why now? Why are you coming forward months later after the fact? And it turns out the man in her guest house, he'd just vanished. He disappeared, along with her son's pickup truck, and sadly, this is where the case began to grow cold for years.
Wow.
I think he knew the cops were catching on to him. He gave him a fake ID, this and that, and he took off. So Dee Dee, she ended up selling her home and she moved into a trailer park. And for a woman who was a wealthy socialite, this just seemed very odd, and no one ever figured out why she downgraded. On February 2nd, 1988, 3 years later, Dee Dee sadly passed away, still not knowing what happened to her son. 3 years go by and there's no breakthrough. After Dee Dee's death, Officer Yankovic, he actually got promoted to detective and chose to revisit the case. He was the one that interviewed Christian when he was at the nudist. And he thought, why not run John's tags from his truck that went missing back then? And he got a hit. To the Bishop family, who was located in Greenwich, Connecticut. One of the places Clark Rockefeller, air quotes, refused to visit. Remember, he said, I won't go to Connecticut or California.
Right.
So Yankovic contacted the local police out there, asking them to investigate it. The officer spoke with Chris Bishop, a local minister's son, and he said before he got the truck, it belonged to his friend, Chris Crow. Christian's now calling himself Chris Crow. Some sources say he wanted money for the truck. Some sources say he just gave it to the man for free. But either way, Bishop took the truck to the DMV and he couldn't do anything with it. There was still a lien on the car, so basically the bank still owned it and money was owed on the vehicle. His friend wouldn't take the truck back. Surprise, surprise. So with no other option, he just left it at some railroad tracks.
Yeah.
After the cops came and questioned Bishop, got the story and everything, Bishop actually called his friend, Christian, to confront him directly. He was pissed. He's angry that the detectives showed up at his house and they're looking for a wanted person who's involved with a homicide. And towards the end of the call, after he freaked out and everything, he said, "Who are you really?" Christian paused, and all he said is, "I gotta go," before he hung up the phone and never talked to his friend again.
I want to know what his motive was to kill them people. Like, I'm confused.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like...
We'll get there. We're just in the
he lived
thick
in the
of it.
guest house, and they went on a top secret mission.
Yeah, a top secret government mission in New York.
It's just, yeah, it's very, very confusing. I'm not... The whole picture is there.
It'll make sense. Right now, it's like you're the detective. You know, you gotta figure it out.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, it's odd. There's a lot of odd stuff in the case. So a detective, he checked the address. Chris Bishop, the one who got the truck from Christian, he gave him an address on where he was staying. I believe it was just a hotel room. So the detective went to the hotel room to get him, and he fled. He was already gone. If there's one thing Christian was good at, it was fleeing. So officers, they eventually connected Chichester to Crow and figured out, oh, they're the same person. But the case went cold again for several more years. It's like...
It seemed like they had the guy. Just lost him.
Every time they get so close to figuring it out, he just slips away. Before we jump back into the action, I have to shout out the first ever sponsor of our show, Gabbi. If you follow me on social media, you already know I'm usually deep grinding Apex or running missions in Warframe. And when you're locking in for hours, the last thing you want is that mid-game crash. That's why I've been loving Gabbi. They're known for their jitterless energy blends, which means no crash, no weird shaky feeling, and no guilt. Just clean focus that helps you lock in and carry your squad for hours. And if you're an anime fan like me, you have to check out the Crunchyroll collab. The anime themed shakers are insane. I've got the Chainsaw Man energy blend and the Free Run shaker on the way, and I cannot wait to show you guys. If you want to level up your setup and support the show at the same time, head to dubby.gg, that's dubby.gg, and use code BONESAW at checkout, BONESAW, for 10% off your entire order. All the info is in the show notes. Huge thanks to Dubby for believing in the pod, and a huge shout out to you guys for listening. Now, let's get back to it. This is the second time now he's just up and left. When he was the nudist in the house and they figured out the false name, he was already gone. And now the truck thing, he's gone.
Well, look, we got the C pattern, I guess, of him naming all his names after a C, or that starts with a C. I'd tell all the departments in the surrounding states, if you hear a fucking name, I don't care if it's Chris, Kenneth, something, something, something. If it starts with a fucking C, you let us know or something.
You need to look into it.
Yeah, like.
Well, his picture at this point was circulating well, too.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead. We're going to fast forward to May 1994, which is actually the month and year I was born. So shout out to Taurus. A crew was working and they were putting an underground pool in at someone's house. So, you know, they're out there, they're working, they got the bobcat going, digging up everything, scooping out the dirt to make room for the new pool, and they hit something, but it just wouldn't move. They tried to scoop it out, they tried to pull it out of the way with the little bobcat, but nothing's going on. He tried again and again, it wouldn't budge. So he stopped, he crawled out of the bobcat, and at that point, all the other workers noticed, and everyone gathered around. You work on a job site, I'm sure I'd be the same way. I'd be like, what are you doing? What happened? Yeah. So they gather around and they noticed a large fiberglass container buried 4 feet down in that ground. They dug it out, not thinking much about it. I'm sure they find a bunch of random odd shit digging up stuff, honestly. And they worked to open the container slowly. When they finally did, they saw 3 heavy black trash bags layered on top of each other in the bin. One of the workers, now being much more cautious, used a piece of rebar to poke at it and ended up being able to lift a small bag out of the container with the rebarb. He got the bag out, he put it on the ground gently, and as the bag shifted when he was placing it on the ground, something pale and round rolled out of it. A human skull.
Oof.
Everyone stood still, frozen in horror. Somehow the beginning of building a pool turned into a crime scene in the blink of an eye. They instantly called the police, of course. There were 3 large plastic bags in the container with smaller ones inside of them. It was a fully dismembered body. And inside the fiberglass container, there was the lower half of the body. It was still wearing pants, socks, and shoes, but they were carefully wrapped in plastic wrap. Beside the lower half of the body was 2 more bags, and in each bag was a severed hand.
Okay. And
they noticed 2 of the bags had designs printed on them. One had a University of Wisconsin bookstore logo on the bag, and they traced it back to 1979 to 1982. Another had a USC bookstore logo that was used during 79 to 84. These are both schools that Mr. Christian attended. All of this also was at the house Dee Dee once owned, along with her son John, wife Linda, and the mystery man in the guest house. And both those schools marked on those bags holding body parts, those were schools the con artists would claim to have gone to during those exact years. So they were able to link it down once everything came out.
So they got their guy. I don't want to hear.
Oh, sorry if you hear that. Someone outside yelling. Nosy mode. Always got to check on loud noises, guys. You never know.
All right, so they know who their guy is. I don't want to hear, hey, we talked to Craig, and the case went cold for another 10 years. Not like, come on.
Well, pretty much we're at the part where we learn the only reason he got caught is because he kidnapped his daughter, and his fingerprints are linking up to all this shit. So, literally luck, honestly. Yeah, it's not like they found him. So, the area grass where they found the dead body was actually not too far from Dee Dee's guest house where the nudist lived. Sadly, due to the decomp, they couldn't visually identify the body, but they could tell it belonged to a male. Now, as for DNA, John, who they expected this to be at this point, honestly, he was adopted by Dee Dee, and his biological family wasn't on record, so there was no way to do DNA testing. He also had no dental records to fill the gap either, but forensics came in clutch per usual. The cause of death would be blunt force trauma to the head, paired with 6 sharp stab wounds from a box cutter or a small knife to the back. They measured the skull, the body, they created a more visual profile for the pieces of bones. They aligned piece by piece until experts said this was John. But without dental records or DNA, there was no way to be 100% certain, so this body would sit as a John Doe.
With a heavy, suspicion that it is
Yeah, it's kind of like we know this is him, but we can't 100% for fact.
Say, but just based on all the evidence. And
which is so sad, because I'm very big on, I feel like bodies, it's always better, obviously, if we could avoid a murder altogether, but that's not the case. It's always better when you find them and they can have their own grave. I don't know, it's like closure. And even though his mom's dead and it doesn't seem like there's really any other family involved with them, it still is nice if he had his name, you know? Yeah, it just sucks. That would suck if it happened to me. I don't know. I mean, you're dead, so it's like, but still, it's the point. So this obviously pushed their focus back onto Dee Dee's home, especially the guest house. They used luminol, and when it hit the floor, it answered them like an EDM concert. Blood was soaked all over the guest house floor, and it was too much to be a simple injury or accident. It was clear this is where someone died, or where a body was cut up. Maybe both. Assuming this was John, they would keep digging outside to see if they'd come across Linda, but her body was never found. Now we fast forward, Christian goes on to find and marry Sandra, claiming to be Clark Rockefeller. They have a daughter. Sandra learns her husband is a psycho crazy person she doesn't really know. After over a decade, they divorce. He's doing whatever cons he can and being a shitty father, seeing his daughter 3 times a year, and he kidnaps her. Then the con man gets conned into checking on his sinking boat, and during the con, gets arrested for his cons.
The con man got conned.
The con man got conned.
Yes, sir.
So now we're all caught up. We know what everyone else knows. We're going to start the trial for the kidnapping.
Yeah, it's quite a history.
Several histories. He has lived so many lives. And these are only ones we know about. He could have had shorter stints for a couple months, a couple days. I wouldn't be surprised.
You think with the Rockefeller name, he's like, this would be my greatest act yet. Like,
yeah. I feel like he just slowly got higher and higher up in like the wealthy society. And yeah.
Insane. This dude's fucking
crazy. So now we're going to move on to the trial for kidnapping. The judge's name was Judge Frank Gaziano, and I just feel like he had to be Italian. Gaziano, who presided over the kidnapping trial. He actually barred prosecutors from presenting evidence about the Sohus case to avoid turning jurors against the defendant, which happens in a lot of cases. So the judge is like, hey, I don't want the jurors to know that he might be in connection to these murders because he's not convicted, so it's not fair to bring that up and let them have some kind of judgment against him and be biased.
Okay, yeah.
Which, you don't know if he did it or not. I get it. There are some cases, though, where that happens, and it'll be for stuff they're already charged for. Like, it'll be like, oh, he murdered this girl, but we're not going to bring up how he was charged with raping a child 5 years ago. And that's the shit that I'm like, what?
Because
it shows his character. He was convicted already.
Yeah.
It happened.
I don't know the legal jargon, but maybe it's like it's not relevant to this case. We're talking about what he did here, not what he did before.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's a lot of legal shit.
Oh, there's a lot. And a lot
the
of
way
like
that the trials work, it's I don't even know everything about
a lot of like defense attorneys and stuff, they'll be like, hey, I want to like take him somewhere else that doesn't know about him because the jurors are going to be biased because the news circulating in this area. Like they do stuff like that too. But
yeah, that's part of the reason why they ask jurors not to look at it, especially if it's a high profile case.
Yeah.
Don't look at the news.
On August 15th, 2008, the FBI, Massachusetts State Police, the Boston Police Department, and the Suffolk County and the Suffolk. Don't we have something like that? Suffolk County. And the Suffolk County District Attorney announced that Clark Rockefeller had been positively identified as Christian Karl Gerhartsreiter. He was identified by forensic examinations conducted by the FBI laboratory. When he was arrested, his fingerprint impressions were taken by the FBI agents in Baltimore and by Boston police when he was returned, since that's where the incident took place.
Okay, he's probably like, that's a lie. Name is Clark Rockefeller.
Those are my fingerprints. You're Clark Rockefeller. Or you're Christian.
Just denied.
So that's literally all he does. So the fingerprints were compared to fingerprints lifted from a variety of sources, like the wine glass we talked about. They also matched a print developed from a document in Christian's immigration file from the early 1980s. There was no like fingerprint cards or anything like that, no inked impressions, because that's what I first thought. I was like, oh, they got some kind of fingerprint card, you know. They actually found it, the FBI laboratory did. They were able to develop fingerprint impressions from the document itself that he filed. So pretty much he touched the paper, and they found his prints on the paper.
From that long ago?
Yeah. Well, you got to think, you touch it, it gets filed. Who's really touching it again unless they have reason? It's back in the day. There's not, computers and stuff. So, I mean, you can't really be like, that's not my print. Like, man, hey, if it's on that document, bro. And who knows?
On a piece of paper?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why, like, when people write letters, they'll wear gloves, like kidnappers and shit.
But
yeah.
Damn, that shit held
like,
I guess if you sign it, you put it on a filing cabinet.
Yeah, it's just sitting there in your file.
You just got to distinguish maybe the other person that touched it and put it in there.
Yeah. And honestly, because it was in that
it.
immigration file, that's the only way they were like 100% certain it was him. That's really how they figured out his true identity. So September 3rd, 2008, Christian would be charged with furnishing a false name to a law enforcement officer, as well as all his other charges. We're adding to the list as we go. His lawyers. His lawyers. The lawyers. Of the lawyers. His lawyers later argued that he didn't do this for any dishonest purposes, which, like, bullshit, obviously. And they had a hearing where his lawyers requested they reduce Christian's $50 million bail. So instead of reducing the charge, the judge ordered the defendant now be held without bail. So he said, fuck you. Or
He
I
said just for trying that dumb shit?
Yeah, he said, actually, we'll put it to $0 because he can't get out at all anyway. So no one's paying bail. On February 13th, 2009, Christian's attorney filed notice that they intended to deploy the, say it with me, everyone, insanity defense.
Oh, here we go.
During the trial. Oh.
I mean, fuck, is he? If you
we're gonna
lie that much?
No, we're gonna go through it because trust me,
is loose.
Everyone,
Sure.
the prosecutors, the defense, everyone's throwing therapists and counselors at this man. So during, I know
they always use that shit to try and get out of shit and accountability
for everything.
Oh,
Murder, I'm insane. Kidnapping, I'm insane.
But like
giving police false names, I'm insane.
Look, he could be a pathological liar.
He
doesn't mean he didn't
just
know
a liar.
what he did.
He knows that. We're gonna go through
it. Doesn't mean he's not aware of it.
He's fully aware, and he's been doing this for how long? Yeah. And he literally is telling lies to benefit from in the future, so he's aware of what he's doing in the time.
You gotta be aware if you know what you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. During the trial, Christian's defense team told jurors that he believed his daughter had communicated with him telepathically from London, where she and her mom lived, begging him to come and rescue her.
We're just saying anything now, huh?
Yeah, literally. We're grasping at straws here, man. Like, whatever he can get. So 2 expert witnesses testified that they diagnosed him with narcissistic personality disorder and delusional disorder of the grandiose type. Surprise. And delusional disorder of grandiose type, where an individual believes they possess exceptional power, status, abilities, or importance. One of the defense experts, Dr. Keith Ablow, testified that Christian told him that his father had been emotionally abusive during his childhood, which goes against all accounts. Yeah. Which goes against all accounts we've ever heard of his family, but that's what he said. Can it be possible? Sure. Is it likely? No. Again, he's a con man, so grain of salt. Next, cue Dr. James Chu, a psychiatrist for the prosecution. He testified that he had diagnosed Christian with a mixed personality disorder. I'd say probably several. With narcissistic and antisocial traits, but he felt that Christian had exaggerated his symptoms of mental illness and was capable of knowing right from wrong. Pretty much what we were just saying, literally. And he made sure to note that the defendant had meticulously planned the details of the abduction well in advance. Like, you aren't just doing this shit for no reason. Like, you planned for a car to pull up on your visitation and kidnap your daughter.
I still want to know the reason. I want to know the motive. Why did he kill these people? We need to get to that.
We're getting there. We're almost we got like a quarter left, I feel. So Christian himself, he did not take the witness stand, but his ex-wife Sandra did.
Oh, he should have, bro. He probably would have just been lying. Everyone looked at him.
Well,
like,
I'm sure his lawyers were probably like, sit the fuck down.
Yeah, for your own good, just don't talk.
Yeah, don't say talk. A single thing.
Because anything that comes out your mouth is just gonna be terrible for you.
So at this point, Sandra Boss, his ex-wife, she was 42 now, and never thought she'd be on the stand testifying against the man she once called her husband for kidnapping her daughter, I'm sure. On trial, Sandra brought up, and I quote, a stupid story he told her. And this is where we're going to find out a lot of the bullshit he said and did. He said he had to fall down some steps that left him mute as a child. Until the age of 10, when he saw a dog and spontaneously uttered, woofness. She would go on to say that the defendant was often very unpleasant. He had a lack of empathy, anger, and control issues, that he was hard to live with. She even claimed she saw behavior that made her think he is not well at all, like something's wrong in his head. Now, the news, Christian's team, the community, everyone tried to make her look like an absolute idiot and talk shit about her. One writer called her a ding-dong doormat who married a Rockefeller, which... Okay, Rockefeller's pretty funny, but...
So they're just making fun of her? They know he's
literally.
a crook?
Yeah.
Con artist, so they're just making fun of her?
Yeah.
I hate the media sometimes, man.
I do too.
They're just making stories just to make stories.
It's not even just the media, her community, everyone. They're like, how are you such an idiot? So she would go on...
Yes, we were kind of saying the same thing.
This is why I pointed out how smart she is, and she's going to say more. She's going to kind of explain it.
You fall in love with somebody, you're in it. They were not in that
Rose-colored
situation.
glasses
is a thing.
You
loved them. You trusted the words you said.
We've all been stupid.
I'm sure, it could potentially happen to anybody.
Look, I've stayed with some idiots.
Yeah.
I'm sure she realizes she stayed with the biggest idiot of all. She doesn't need it jammed down her throat in articles and reports.
I know she's looking back in hindsight like, how did I not see this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the good thing is...
I know from now on she probably will never fall for anything like that ever again.
We're going to go over towards when everything's done, I'm kind of just going to revisit and see how she's doing nowadays. And in all the articles and reports, they don't really talk. They'll say she had an ex-husband named Christian Karl Gerhardt, whatever, but they don't talk about it anymore, which is good because she seems like such a good person. We'll go over it later. So she would go on to discuss Christian, aka Clark, and how living with him was. How she often woke up hungry in a cold house because her husband, who insists on being addressed as Mr. Rockefeller still by his lawyers, controlled their bank accounts and would only keep the side of the house he slept on.
What do you mean only keep the side of the house he slept on? What?
Warm. She would go to bed hungry and cold because he wouldn't buy food. He wouldn't heat her side of the house.
Her side? They're married. Why do they have different sides of the house?
Some people, I own a cleaning company, and yeah, I see it too. Some people sleep separately.
I know there's a thing with...
And some rich people will have
but
different wings of the house. They'll be like, hey, this wing's all yours, like the West Wing. You have full control.
But they're in the same house. You can't... Bro, you can't shut my side, like, heat off.
My thing... Yeah,
like I'm turning this fucking heat on.
Fuck you, wife.
The fuck?
Like, what are you talking about?
What kind of fucking husband?
I know.
You just make dinner for yourself. Like, they're, like... in the same house but two different apartments.
So
like,
there's reports too, and it's not in here, but just to throw it in, there's reports of friends who would say he would do anything for a free meal. He'd go and hang out at like this woman said it. She said he'd come over her house and he'd be like, oh, what you cooking? I sure am hungry. Like, oh, you're going out to eat? Can I come with you? I left my wallet. Yeah. Oh, you're cooking? What are you making?
It's behavior like that. It's like, no way you're a Rockefeller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She would end up stating that the marriage turned quickly into a marriage that revolved around intimidation, emotional abuse, and virtual imprisonment. So it does sound like he was very controlling. She was emotionally abused. He didn't hit her physically. She even says that, but... He broke
down her will to the point that she didn't have any love.
That's very dramatic, but yes. Very true, hey. So she said she was fooled into believing her husband's elaborate claims and didn't dare confront him because he would threaten to take sole custody of their daughter whenever she questioned him. So imagine you're supposedly married to this big, rich Rockefeller man, right? You have a kid with him. You make about $1 million a year, which is good, but in hindsight to a Rockefeller, it's probably nothing, honestly.
That's chump change.
Yeah. So anytime you question anything that seems out of line or a little suspicious, this Rockefeller says, I'm going to take your daughter from you, ruin your life, this and that. I kind of get that, honestly. I'd be like, okay, like whatever. It's not that deep. So Christian's defense would ask how a woman who graduated and attended two of America's most prestigious schools and was in a job that brought in a little over $1 million a year fell for his bullshit. She replied, you're making a connection between business intelligence and personal intelligence. There is a difference. I'm not saying I made a good choice of husband. I'm not saying you can be brilliant and amazing in one area of life and pretty stupid in another.
Yeah.
She's on the money.
That was some shit.
That's
I like that. That was definitely on the money.
Yeah.
That was on the fucking
I'm just saying you can be brilliant and amazing in one part of life and pretty stupid in another. Don't confuse business intelligence with personal. There's a difference.
She just fell for the wrong guy and trusted him.
Even like that comment shows how like articulate she is.
Shows
like
how intelligent
she's very
you are.
smart. She's very refined.
Yeah.
And
she pretty much said I was stupid for falling for him.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good guy. I thought he was great. Thought he was rich.
Yeah. There's a difference between emotional and logical. Yeah. Rose-colored glasses. So on June 12th, 2009, the jury convicted Christian of the kidnapping of his daughter, as well as 1 count of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon for ordering the getaway driver to pull away while the social worker was hanging onto the car. He was acquitted of a second assault charge, and he was also acquitted for giving a false name to the police. The judge sentenced him to 4 to 5 years in a state prison on the kidnapping count, and a concurrent 2 to 3 years on the assault charge. News reports indicated that a grand jury was to convene later in 2009 to examine the evidence in the murder case.
Yeah.
The trial wouldn't begin until March 2013, 4 years later in Los Angeles, California. During all this time, investigators were actually able to locate a biological half-sister of John, the body they thought they found murdered. They found a half-sister of him. Ran her DNA, and they were able to confirm the body they found that day was indeed John's, and his grave was able to be marked. Christian's biggest bet of getting off scot-free for his murder was the lack of physical evidence in the case. Because there really wasn't any.
But they had a lot of circumstantial.
So for this trial, Christian decided, I'm going to fire my lawyers and do what I like to call pulling a Bundy, which means he would represent himself during his sentencing.
Oh my God.
Christian,
Idiot.
Yeah, that's
Oh
it,
my
it never
God.
ends well when
You know,
people do that.
I recently saw this fuck, it was some shit on TikTok about some dude trying to represent himself in court, and he just looked like a fucking idiot.
Was it a black dude with braids?
It was definitely a black dude.
And he
I
like was
forgot
a
what he
little
did.
unhinged.
Yes, he was a little fucking like crazy, and
yeah.
apparently made the judge feel scared and shit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
He would just
it was a
grill her.
woman.
It was a woman.
So
yeah.
that case, he killed his wife in front of his son, and the son had to virtually, because he's playing lawyer, he got to question his fucking son, who's like 4, 6, real young, under double digits. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was some stupid
It's
shit.
so crazy you say that.
He
We're just
thought
on
he
the
could
same...
just lie his way through.
Yeah.
The
and
lawyers
he'd
are
just
asking him
scream and
questions,
cuss and cut everything off.
It was just the dumbest
He
move.
definitely... Well, I don't know. He could have been playing
in jail.
Oh,
he was going to jail already, but he just made it so much more easier.
Oh yeah, made it
you
worse.
Don't represent yourself.
He probably, I mean, he's in for life, but added more time. I think there might be some like podcasts, true crime podcasts covering that case. I'll have to look into it. But it's funny you say that. We're on the same wavelength, because while I'm reading this, I was thinking about it because I just seen it too.
I'm sure there's plenty more. They think they're smart enough to outsmart everybody, so they're like, I'm a representative.
Well, they're narcissists.
Yeah,
they're full blown narcissists.
But when everything is recorded and scrutinized, your shit doesn't look too good for you. You know what I mean?
No,
it's not like,
at all. Especially when you're trying to play the insanity plea, you know, like you're trying to say you're insane, but you're up here defending yourself and speaking.
There's gonna be a lot of contradictions.
Exactly.
Dude, it doesn't look good. Anyway, tell me how he stupidly defended himself.
So, well, he claimed insanity at first. That was his defense. He would always maintain his innocence during the sentencing hearing and would state, I want to assert my innocence and that I firmly believe that the victim's wife killed him. But be that as it may, once again, I did not commit the crime of which I stand accused. So he's trying to say, Linda killed John, I didn't do shit. So pointing the finger at Linda, he said she could have killed him before leaving to France, where the postcards came from. Now, there are a few odd occurrences with Linda going missing. And there's some stuff that I'm like, that's a little weird, but I don't think it was Linda. Her mom and sister did confirm the handwriting on those postcards matched Linda's perfectly. It was Linda's handwriting. Now, there is no record of Linda obtaining a passport. Remember, everyone's like, she doesn't have a passport and she doesn't have money, so how'd she just leave for France? There's no record of her ever obtaining a passport.
So she couldn't have actually been in France.
Well, my thing is, and I put it here too, because I was like, okay, she didn't obtain a passport, but if you're on the run for murder, I doubt you're going to get it in your own name anyway in the first place. Like, why would I be like, I'm Linda Sohas, like, I'm going to get a passport. I just killed my husband. I'm on the run. I'm going to get a fake name, a fake passport.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm like, kind of contradicts it in my opinion, but...
And this, what is this top secret mission? That's all bullshit. Like, what the fuck?
It just sounds like a con. So...
Top secret mission?
Yeah,
what?
We'll get there too. But they did some DNA testing on the cards, and it didn't show a bit of her DNA on the postcards. Not her DNA, not John's, not even Christian's on them. Indicating maybe it was some random person who could have helped, leading to the idea Christian must have known someone there in France and either asked or paid them to send a forged postcard. Another thing about...
then he would have had to show him, like, her handwriting.
I mean, he could easily send... I'm pretty sure she was known for, like, keeping a journal. He could have stole some pieces and sent it to her easily. If you're someone who, like, forges handwriting...
Yeah, you gotta show him a
simple.
good piece of, like... So they know how every letter is forged.
Exactly.
Like,
and it's real short sentences.
Yeah.
Like 2 lines.
True. That is true.
It's
not like
not...
she wrote much.
She's not writing a diary entry or something.
Again, why?
Well, yeah. So another thing about Christian, he did have a history of using postcards to deceive people. A woman came forward and said they were dating. He was going to leave to go to California, and he was going to help film Star Wars because he's a big movie producer, you know? So after he left, she ended up getting a postcard, but it was from Britain. And it was sent from him claiming he's in Britain now, and somehow he ended up there, and he was going to live in Britain. But really, he was living in Dee Dee's guest house. So this shows his track record of using postcards to manipulate as well. The man never stepped foot out of the country. This is kind of the cherry on top to the postcard situation. So they ended up finding he owned a storage unit. And in the storage unit, they found preserved, unused postcards from a variety of places and countries.
Okay. It's all starting to make sense.
I feel like He probably used postcards in some crazy way to con people or do shit like that, you know?
To fit his lies or
Exactly.
whatever he's talking about.
Or say, I'm British nobility. Look, my mom wrote me this postcard from Britain. You know what I mean? Like, so, I'm sure there's endless ways. And probably ways I can't even imagine he used them, honestly. So one person, they knew him from church, and they said, oh yeah, he borrowed a chainsaw from me. And he actually, it took him a while to return it. He didn't return it until after John and Linda went missing. He would ask another friend around this time where he could dispose of drums that were full of chemicals. A couple would also claim Christian tried to sell them this rug. He like brought a rug over to his friend's house, but they looked at it and they were like, that looks like a huge blood stain on that rug. I'm not buying that. So he took it away.
Oh, sure.
And the day he took it away, later that day, one of his neighbors called him asking what he was burning because they said it smelled awful in the neighborhood. Like it smelled so bad. She said, stop or I'm calling the cops. And he stopped right away.
Yeah. Wonder what that was.
He claims he was burning the rug.
Oh, I know what it was. We don't smell too good.
Yeah. No, we don't smell good at all. Needless to say, going on the run also doesn't help your case. You just happen to leave after this. You just happen to leave after the truck incident.
No, it doesn't help at all.
You're changing names. Now, we're going to get to the part that you've been asking the most about.
I want to know
the motive.
Why? Why?
So after Linda and John left, air quotes, Dee Dee was all alone. And he got it into Dee Dee's head that her son had run off with his wife and was ignoring her to start this new life together, leading Dee Dee to take John out of her will, denying his inheritance, which was a small fortune.
Say that again?
After Linda and John left, Dee Dee was all alone with, Christian, who was living in the guest house. She was alone in her house. And he got it in Dee Dee's head, hey, your son ran off with the wife. Like, they're just not coming back. They said they were on this government mission. Now they're just not coming back. He pretty much said, fuck you, and dipped with his new wife. Okay. And they had a really close relationship.
Right.
So she took it to heart, and she ended up taking John out of her will and denying his inheritance, which was a small fortune.
Okay.
So money.
Yeah.
Would be the motive.
So how was he planning on getting this money?
I think
she took John out of her will, but like unless he got the money and then killed Dee Dee, like there was no what was his next plan? Or did they start like getting on it so he kind of bailed on a plan? Like I don't know, like what?
I think the lead prosecutor, Habib Baleen, said it best. With John and Linda out of the way, he would have been there home alone with Dee Dee, a vulnerable older woman sitting on a large property in a wealthy neighborhood. Not to mention, her alcoholism and loneliness would make it easier for him to prey on her. So I think his goal was to try and convince Dee Dee to put his name on the will at some point.
Just feed off of her loneliness.
Yeah, and say, well, your son's gone. He's got this new woman. He's not coming back. He cut you out. He's not even talking to you. But I'm here for you.
Yeah, if you want to have someone be your inheritor.
Yeah.
Maybe when she did that, then you kill her and then you have all the money.
But then Dee Dee, his friends, and himself started getting questioned by the police, and I think he went on the run, ruining his plans at that point. So they kind of put a wrench in his plans.
So it was like halfway through, he didn't even finish.
Exactly. Now, like we said, evidence in this case, it's largely circumstantial, but jurors were most swayed by 2 plastic bags they found with John's remains. One from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, where Christian attended classes around the same year that bag came out, because the logos are different. They change through the years. Yep. And one from the University of South Carolina, where Christian audited film classes there. Jurors also heard evidence that Christian was in possession of Soho's pickup truck following the murder. Like, why'd you even steal his truck? Almost a month later, on April 10th, 2013, after 40 witness testimonies, 160 exhibits that were examined, they finally found him guilty for the first-degree murder of John and received 27 years to life in prison.
Good.
Now, Christian initially transferred to North Kern State Prison, September 2013, before he transferred to Iron State Prison in March 2014. He filed for several appeals, which were denied October 23rd, 2015, and again January 20th, 2016. Eventually, he exhausted all his state appeals. In December 2016, he was transferred to St. Quentin State Prison. His sentence was reduced during his appeal in 2015 from 27 years to life to 26 years to life. Along with good time credits, he will be eligible for parole December 2029, and he will be 68 years old then. A parole hearing is currently scheduled for November 2028. Members of the Rockefeller family would come forward to deny any relation with Christian. And I'm just going to go over Sandra real quick and kind of let you know how her life's going. Now, you might be asking, where's Sandra at today? How's her life going after all this? Honestly, I'm just glad her and her daughter got away, thank God. Because if he was willing to do this and kill for money, there's no saying how far he'd go as a con man, as a murderer.
Thank God he didn't murder her.
He can definitely kill other people, especially a woman whose death he would benefit from greatly in some way. I mean, life insurance, whatever money she had, you know, if she has anything through her jobs, retirements, like who knows? Who knows what he would have done? Nowadays, Sandra Boss, Senior Managing Director, is the chair of BlackRock UK. Being the chair is high up in a company, but I wanted to know exactly how high. And they're actually like right under the CEO, owner, and all that.
Okay.
So they lead the board of directors. They make sure meetings are productive and focused on strategic matters. They also make sure board members can participate in decision making. Agendas, monitoring company's progress, keeping it on track. She's like the middleman between the board and management. So she might go to the CEO with issues or ideas that the board has. They say a strong chair can help navigate complex issues and that their role is vital for the organization they work in. This is everything else she does at the same time right now. She's the chair at a company. She's a member of the board of trustees at the Royal Society for the Encouragement of Arts. She's at another company called Manufacturers in Commerce. She's also had several other advisory and non-executive roles. She was a member of the board for the Institutional Investigators Group of Climate Change and also served on the Impact Task Force created under the UK's G7 2021 presidency. According to Worth Collector, today she's worth $5 million. She has a yearly income of $250K, a monthly income of $21K. She makes like $700 a day. Again, there's nothing on her daughter. There's not a lot online, and I just want to respect her privacy, so we aren't going to talk too much about her. But needless to say, Sandra's doing very, very well for herself.
Well, I'm glad she got away and she doesn't have a man mooching off her success. It's like... two polar opposites, you know? Like, you got a successful woman that actually worked for her shit, and then you had this guy that, although he was successful, I feel like he lied his way through getting what he wanted.
Yeah.
You know, she actually put in the work.
She's self-made.
He's
was nothing.
Pretend or that he had this and that.
I will point out, she did never remarry. And who could fucking blame her, honestly?
Yeah, I don't blame her.
I don't blame her. I'm not going to touch too much on it because I know personal life. I don't want to be judgy or assume anything. But if that was me, I don't think I'd ever trust a man again. Honest to God. That'd be crazy. It'd take a long time, if any. I'm just not surprised. Bottom line. Not surprised she didn't remarry. I don't blame her. Now, I want to get your opinion on Linda. John's wife. Body was never found. She could still be alive somewhere. I personally...
Wait, wasn't there 3 bodies in that coffin?
No, there was 3 bags with different body parts. He dismembered him and chopped him up and threw him in 3 different bags.
You think the bodies would have been together?
If she was, right?
So it was just John's body parts?
Yeah, they never found anything of Linda.
Linda's?
So a lot of people, they think Linda's still alive. And here's a couple other odd things. So Linda's employer...
And what he said is he might have been telling the truth or some shit? That
they think either she could have done it or she could have helped him. In some way.
They were in on it together?
Yeah. Now, I think if he's a smart con man and he's like, this ever comes back to bite me in my ass, let me bury Linda somewhere different so I can blame her. Because this was a big time where if there's not a body, they're not going to think she's dead. Like, they need a body to say, okay, she's dead.
If he was that smart to calculate through that.
If he was.
Be like, you put the body in a place where you don't want it found, but if it did got found... You put the other body in a better place that you knew for sure wouldn't get found.
Why would he bury John on the property where he lives, Dee Dee lives? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think it was a long game.
So betting on the fact that if they found that body.
And I'm going to... So here's a couple other things why I think he thinks ahead. The dude's he's not a maniac. He has nothing wrong with it. Well,
no, he's
in his own way.
Yeah. He's not an idiot.
He's
like he can think.
There's the insanity plea doesn't click with him.
Right.
He's not insane. He thinks ahead. He's very strategic. He's very intelligent. He knows what he's doing. And this is more on that topic. So Linda's employer from the bookstore she worked at, she was really close with her, so the bookstore owner was friends with Linda, and she got a postcard too when people were getting postcards from Linda, quote unquote, from Paris. And she testified over the years she also received a call from a department store company asking for job references for Linda Mayfield, which is her maiden name. So she's getting calls for references. She got another call asking as a credit reference for Linda. But I'm wondering...
So like after the fact,
after she's missing. Yeah. After she's already missing, she's getting calls So I guess it's during the investigation too, because everyone's looking for her. But it pretty much made it sound like Linda's here in France, Paris, alive. I need a reference for her. She's trying to get a job here. My thing is, again, if you're trying to up and leave for the murder of your husband, why are you using your real name? Why are you using any of your real information? I just think it's another one of Christian's tricks, honestly. Because like I said,
Very well could be.
who kills her husband, goes on the run, uses the same exact name, her same exact it's a good way to get caught up. Now, many did say maybe she was involved, like we said, maybe Christian and her planned it together, but during trial, her friends, neighbors, employers, every single person said they never sensed stress or conflict between the two. They make it sound like it was me and you. They were always together all the time. It was just love. Like, they never were fighting. There wasn't stress. They just were a perfect couple. And they also were in fresh wedding bliss. They just got married. And again, she didn't have the money to just up and leave. They also say she's very attached to her family, community, and those fur babies. Remember the kitties?
Mm-hmm.
A TV show, I can't remember the name of it, but they claim the kennel where the cats were left, that a woman came in 4 months after the cats were left there, and the cats were actually about to get put down. And a woman came in last minute and adopted all 6 cats that belonged to Linda. Mm. And they gave the cats to her. The woman was never seen again, and the identity never determined.
Yeah, that's weird.
I didn't see this in any other sources, so it can't be verified 100%, but I just thought it was something interesting to put in there. But my thing is also, if someone adopted 6 cats and you're like a boarding house and shit, you don't have that on record, like a name either, like nothing.
Exactly.
You just handed over 6 cats.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get that. It wasn't the day and age of CCTV and Ring doorbell cameras everywhere either, so there's no footage, but like, you don't have any record.
They should know who they're giving it to.
Yeah. I want to know what you think. Do you think Linda's still alive? You think she's dead?
I mean, I feel like there's some weird things around Linda that should be looked at. I mean, it's just there's a lot of unanswered questions, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird for sure. I mean, he could have very well did everything and, you know.
I think she's probably dead somewhere, honestly. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but these weird things. Like, it just needs to be explained so you don't think that Linda is questionably still alive. You gotta rule that out. If there's even just a sliver of anything saying that she's alive, then that should be looked at.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I feel like, I hope, because Detective Yankovic was pretty thorough with finding him and reopening the case and relooking at it. So
then I'm sure
I want to have a little trust that he hopefully followed those avenues to
Were these
find
just
her.
like rumors? Were these like...
So the cat thing about the boarding house and getting adopted, that was on a TV show. I did not find it in any other sources, so it's not 100% to me. The calls, that pretty much was the bookstore owner just saying, hey, I got these random calls. I'm not saying she's lying, but people lie about dumber shit. Like, it could even be a lie. The bookstore owner getting those 2 calls isn't verified for references for Linda.
It'd be crazy, because if this was during the investigation or... I don't know, like, specifically at one point this happened, but what if, what's his name again? Chris? He has so many different names.
Oh, Christian. Yeah.
Christian. Set something up to get a woman to say, hey, you know, this is Linda looking for a job interview. Like, he just made up some fucking lie or something. I don't know. So he could, like, have this story that she's still alive. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the postcards he did. I think
especially finding all them postcards in his storage unit. I mean, he has a thing with postcards.
He could have easily called the bookstore with some fake French accent and been like, hello, Linda Mayfield. She came in. She wanted a job interview. I just have some questions. She put you down as a reference. You know what I mean? He could have done that. He could have been the one to call. Yeah. So
he knew he had this story. Or
just to
made
keep up the thing, like the image that she's alive.
She's alive and she killed her husband.
Even the postcards, I mean, I read them for you word for word. That's word for word. They're weird.
No, it's weird for sure.
Yeah. And everyone's like, it's her handwriting, but this isn't how she talks, how she is at all.
And do they have a history of sending postcards? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if they just didn't send postcards?
I don't think
then all of a sudden you get a postcard from her, it's like, she's never sent me a postcard.
Yeah. I mean, she was traveling, quote, traveling. But
maybe that was the thing back in the day. Postcards were a big thing, were they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tips on Linda or her whereabouts can be sent to 626-300-0720, which will also be posted in the show notes below. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show, leave a review. It'll really help the podcast grow. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at BonesawPod. A big thank you to Ty for joining me again.
Of course. And the moral of the story, if you lie, you become very successful.
Yeah.
No. The moral
Don't listen to him, kids. Well, it's been fun. I'm Gabbi Dee.
And I'm Ty.
And this is Beyond the Bone
Beyond the Bone
Soul.